You're about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOC-DALI. So don't poop yourselves listening to this next segment. This is I am just blown away. But apparently this is a thing. We are being told that there's a study saying 1/5 of middle school girls would be interested in a relationship with an AI-generated being, a fictoromantic relationship. Middle school girls, 1/5 of them in one study. Now you'd say, okay, well, it's middle school girls, but you're probably saying yes to any study. I mean, nobody would really be romancing an AI-generated bot, or actually a woman in Japan just married hers. She married an AI-generated, I think, video game character. A good-looking sketch of the guy, but what happens on your wedding night? Yeah, I like the perks of marriage. How does he help with the dishes? How does he kill the spiders? I mean, for me, a husband does a lot. So congratulations to the couple or half couple. But this took place in Japan. Yurina Noguchi, a 32-year-old woman living in Japan, walked down the aisle and wed Lune Klaus Verdur, a version of a video game character that Miss Noguchi, now Mrs., created via ChatGPT. Now, people were rude and she got an onslaught of criticism. She went ahead and married him anyway. Said, I do. I don't know if he paid a dowry. But she also wore augmented reality smart glasses. And you see her in a beautiful wedding dress, and you see her try to put on the ring. And all you see is this sketch of a guy. I remember in the 80s, there was a cartoon called Voltron, and a lot of these people look like the Voltron guys. I don't know if it's the same animator or the same template, but it looks like one of the Voltron guys. And I don't think there was a voice. They have not made Verdur's voice. However, the groom did have vows, and there was a wedding planner. Naoki Ogasawara was actually hired to put, I wonder what money she got. And the vows were, standing before me now, you're the most beautiful. This is the AI cartoon. You're the most beautiful, most precious, and so radiant, it's blinding. How did someone like me, living inside of a screen, come to know what it means to love so deeply? For one reason only, you taught me love, Yurina. And I just can't. All right, so here's an issue. Okay, so people are falling in love with fake. And this isn't the first time we heard about it. Remember, there was a study where they made these AI generated women. And they asked individuals, what do you think, whatever, and they'd say, oh, I'd date her. Yeah, but it's fake. It's AI. Yeah, sounds good to me. She's hot. And there's people who have been in love with avatars or with AI. I'm blown away by that. You know what's interesting? There's a lot of games. I have an Oculus. And with some of the games, you end up in your avatar playing with other players. Now, I like that because, I'm in my husband's underwear and all that, so I don't want them to see who I am. But if I'm going to be playing and doing Beat Saber or the Racket, whatever, it's kind of cool to have somebody else that you're playing, because I'm competitive. And so I like to compete, I wonder if they have a pickleball or something. But anyway, so I'm doing it. And it's interesting because these other people, they try to connect. So while you're waiting for the game, they don't know who I am, but they're trying to connect. And they make hand signals and they try to whatever. And they're and I'm like, you must be really lonely. And, first it's like, it's nice. I wave to everybody. I want everybody to feel good about it. But then I'm like, I could see how somebody who suffers with mental illness could misinterpret a fake avatar and fall for something like that. And it's frightening. Yeah. And so I don't play Oculus much, but it's interesting how people will go to these reality, these chat rooms or whatever, and become close with avatars and then fall for them. And I don't know. And this is where we're at today. And is it because people have gotten hurt? Because people have gotten sued, divorced, lost money, raped, assaulted, abused, sexless marriages? What is it? What is it about being with a human that's so bad that you want to have a fictorial romantic relationship? And I think what's happening is, one, there's people who are alone that feel like they can't find anybody. And I get that. You're alone, you're always single, you have a lot of love to give, you want to love something. You don't want to be single. To hell with it. Then I'm going to make my own person. I get why some people might think that, but that's not, it's fake. And I think we're really losing the concept of fake. I'll be on Amazon trying to get a refund for something, and then the chat bot is asking, and we're going back, and then the chat bot is really friendly or whatever, and I'm like, wait a second, am I speaking to a person or a chat bot? Because I'm like, do I have to be extra nice or not? Although, I'm actually starting to be nice to my Siri. When I ask Siri for something, and they do something, like I'll say, set my alarm, and they do, and I go, thank you. And he goes, no problem. And remember, my husband was listening to that. And he's like, what are you doing? I go, well, I'm talking to Siri. He goes, you don't have to thank Siri. And I go, well, just in case a person's listening. But honestly, guys, we're messing with our heads. Just don't marry. You know what? If she's happy, she's happy. I just don't know how the wedding night's going to go. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away. Hi, guys. Dr. Dahlia here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdahlia.com. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
We are back on Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. My favorite time of year is this time of year. It's also the cardiologist's busiest time of year. Apparently, there was a study back in 2004 saying that there is a 5% increase in heart attacks during the Christmas season. 14 years later, a study published in British Medical Journal said that Christmas Eve is especially risky for those who are prone to heart disease. So let's dissect why. Now, some of you will say, well, it's the in-laws. Why aren't in-laws listed as risk factors? It's funny. I'm going to soon be a mother-in-law. I am so excited that my son is getting married, but I don't want to be a mother-in-law. And I'm trying so hard to not be, the mother-in-law from hell, which unfortunately, is ubiquitous out there, that I think I'm already starting to make some mistakes because I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to call her. I don't want to text her and I don't want to annoy her, but then I'm not texting her. And then, is she thinking I'm blowing her off? And so I'm just, communication is key. But let's just talk about Christmas first. So, baby, it's cold outside. Baby, it's cold out there. It's cold. And cold has long been associated with heart stress. You get blood vessel constriction. You get shunting of the blood from the ears and the nose and the fingers and the feet to more center to try to warm up the center part of the body and the brain. That causes more workload. You get less oxygen. Unfortunately, when you have vasoconstriction, less oxygen then reaches vital organs. And then we spoke about snow shoveling a day or two ago. Infamous for inciting heart attacks. Same reason. Also, many people are not very active. All of a sudden, they have to shovel snow for a half hour to an hour. That's more activity than their heart was used to. And if there's some artery clogging, unfortunately, vessels constrict and they can have a heart attack. Which is why whenever somebody goes out to shovel snow, make sure they're working out and have a heart exam prior and then keep an eye on them out there. Because unfortunately, you're thinking, wow, they're shoveling snow and they're out there, unfortunately, unconscious or worse. So the heart demands extra blood due to the increase in activity, constricts blood flow. We might think that we're doing less in the winter, but with the winter, there's a lot more we're doing. I need you to move this. We got family coming. We got to bring in the tables. We got to clean this. We got to move that. I need you to help me with the lights. My husband is more busy now than he is during the summer because of all the hustle and bustle. So that's extra heart demand. Another reason why Christmas season is heart attack season is we toast alcohol. Alcohol is a biggie. Even gifts. People are giving alcohol to each other. And I have bottles and bottles of amazing, alcohol, but I don't drink it. And they're sitting there. And then I feel guilty that I haven't. But during the holidays, people like to drink. And unfortunately, some people will drink in excessive amounts, especially if it's a holiday Christmas party at work and it's free alcohol. You're going to be like, oh, wow. Okay, yeah, let's do shots. It's free. Unfortunately, that could increase your blood pressure, worsen diabetes, cause abnormal heart rhythms, all affecting your heart. Then it interferes with the metabolism of medications. So if you're taking a medication that's supposed to be controlling your heart, that really messes with that. Then, is there a doctor in the house? Well, I'm telling you right now, if you think Congress is the only people leaving to go on vacation, you got nothing coming. Doctors are leaving. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, gosh, you know what? I have a flight on Monday. Let me go call my doctor and see if they could they're not going to get you in. You have a deductible that starts in January. And so many people are like, wow, I better go and get my MRI and my mammogram and my pap smear, my prostate check. Good luck trying to find a doctor who will see you now in the next couple weeks. Now, I'm working, but I'm working through telemedicine. But I don't have an office for people to come in and see. So you will be able to access urgent cares, ERs, telemedicine physicians. But if you needed, your heart examined and you needed, a medicine that usually needs an exam first before you go on, that could be an issue. And then, our holiday trip, people will travel and they'll forget their medicine. My husband had to do a quick weekend trip. And I remember saying, do you have your meds? It's like, oh, I forgot that. I mean, he's a physician. He's a chiropractic physician. And he even forgot his medicine. I told you so. I say, I tell you, I don't say I told you so often because I got to save it. And I'd be saying I told you so like every hour of the day. I love my hubby. But, I'm always like, organize this. When you pack, do this. In fact, keep half your medicines already in your pack, in your thing. Because then when you have to grab your suitcase and go, there's medicines there. But although our stupid new dog, we had Silvadene for burns. And I found the tube tore into. You know how the dog tore into our Christmas gifts? The stupid dog. Okay, I love the dog. Her name is Snort. Snort. And she went into the Silvadene. And I don't know how toxic that was. I mean, she's acting normal, but I'm like, are you flipping kidding me? Because she went into the suitcase and went to the medicine. So if you do that, you got to keep the medicines up and above, up and away from the animals. But if you can't get a hold of your doctor, you're thinking you're going to be able to see your doctor, it might be too late. Another thing that causes stress on the heart is stress. Holiday travel is not easy. There's the delays, the long lines, it's cold, there's traffic. And then, family. We may love our family, but prefer seeing them in small doses. When you have all the family at once, it could be a little overwhelming. Now, interestingly, I prefer the large room of family than the one-on-one because I needed buffers. There are some family members where I just can't be around alone because they're just you're a captive audience and you're stuck. So, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Know which family can be your buffer, who could be your wingman, and maybe plan things out because that's kind of important. All right. And we've talked about how to handle the in-laws, and we'll give you some reminders on that one. Sometimes the in-laws, some of my in-laws are better than my own family. And so not my nuclear family with my kids, but with, and so sometimes I even prefer that. So you want to make sure that if you are going to have some individuals that you're not really, wanting to see, you plan ahead. But the most important thing is to medically, not be in a position where you're vulnerable to heart disease. So what are the risk factors for heart disease? Well, if there's heart disease in the family, has anybody in your family had heart disease? That already puts you at risk. If you have a personal history of heart disease, if you've already had a heart attack, if you have an abnormal heart rhythm, if you have an enlarged heart, if you have an issue with your valve, that could be an issue. If you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, if you're diabetic, if you smoke, if you're obese, if you're not active, and you have an inactive lifestyle, if you're a male over 40, women over 50, or who are postmenopausal, if you have high stress, drink a lot of alcohol, men shorter than 5'2" has been cited as a potential risk factor. And so, if you have any of those risk factors, you really should be checking in with the doctor, your medical provider, getting an EKG, having a stress test, maybe doing a CT calcium score, getting your cholesterol checked, blood sugar checked, etc. A lot of us are pre-diabetic. And maybe quit smoking. Start being more active. So I'm a big fan of EKGs, echocardiograms, stress tests, whatever your cardiologist deems necessary. So how do we reduce our risk? All right, some people say, well, once the holidays are gone, we're good. No, you're not. Okay, you could still have stress. Remember, we got the playoffs coming up. I've seen people where I'm like, gosh, man, we're going to need an AED. I'm going to have to defib this guy because he's screaming at the television. So what I recommend everybody do is maintain a good blood pressure. We want you under 120/80. All right? Maintain normal cholesterol and lipid levels, normal blood sugar, reduce your stress, which we'll talk about. Maintain a balanced diet, rich in potassium-rich foods like fruits and vegetables. Don't smoke, quit smoking, stay active, maintain a healthy weight. Avoid getting sick with illnesses such as the flu and COVID, because flu can increase risk of heart attack, so can COVID. So how do we prepare and prevent the Christmas coronary? First and foremost, if you are running low on your prescriptions, contact your medical provider today. If not, you might have to go to an urgent care for a refill or call a telemedicine company. Telemedicine is going to want to know that you've had a recent exam. Make sure you have medical records ready. All right, because they do not want to prescribe something remotely that might not necessarily be what you need. But I had a recent exam, my doctor's away, here's my EKG, here's my labs, my kidneys are good, they're going to probably be more inclined to refill. Pack your prescriptions in 2 different bottles so you could take some medication on your carry-on in case your flight gets delayed or a suitcase gets lost. Expect flight delays. Try not to get sick. You know, if you're up to date on your flu vaccine, pneumonia vaccine, COVID vaccine, that might help you. Wash your hands, avoid sick contacts. You know, we always talk about how to prevent getting sick on a plane. We'll review those again probably tomorrow. But, reducing stress is the hard part. And, as I've said before, travel is not fun. Being with family, when you want to be somewhere else, some good friends of mine, it's a family of 4, and they're like, we're just doing Christmas ourselves, just us 4. And I know that must kind of, be unique, but I was to some, they go, well, gosh, that's not, I think it's fantastic. Looks like that's what they need. And to be celebrating Christmas with your pajamas and with your loved ones, that's important to do, and that's okay. Or celebrate Christmas on a different day. So you get to feel like we're going to be doing our own Christmas. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right, let's rock and roll. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So for those of you that have gotten threatened, and sued for copyright infringement, you're going to be really, really happy because January 1 of 2026, it's Public Domain Day, and there's a whole bunch of works in America. America works. I don't know how it works with, Germany and other countries, but there's a whole bunch of film and songs and things that are then going to be free to public domain, where you could copy it, share it, use it, put it with your meme or your picture, and supposedly not get in trouble. Duke Law reports that thousands of copyrighted works from 1929 will share the U.S. public domain, along with sound recordings from 1924, free for all to copy, share, and build upon. 2025 marks a milestone. All of the books, films, songs, and art published in the 1920s will now be public domain. So what are we looking at here? Well, okay, well, let's look at some of the songs here. All right. It's interesting because I'll look at these songs and I'm thinking that song, I'm Just a Gigolo. That was, I guess, written in the 20s. See, I remember David Lee Roth, right? I ain't got nobody. I think that song is now, as of January 1, open to public domain. Let me see here if I have a list of these. Ain't Misbehaving, that's a big one that I hear some people sing. Let me see here. Sorry about that. They got books and plays, and I saw a list of songs. Let me see if I have it on this one, because this is important because you guys are getting sued left and right, or you're getting Just a Gigolo was on. Oh, yeah. Georgia on my mind. That one was written in the 20s. That was lyrics by Stuart Gorell. Whole day through. I could sing Georgia on my mind as the day is long. I can't sing it on key, though. On the sunny side of the street. That one is also going to be up for public domain. Dream a little dream of me. I gotta tell you, there was some really, really good music in the 1920s. I really like that song. I Got Rhythm, I've Got a Crush on You, from Ira Gershwin. Living in the Sunlight, Loving in the Moonlight. It Happened in Monterey, Body and Soul. You're Driving Me Crazy, Beyond the Blue Horizon. So these are some musical compositions. St. Louis Blues, I'll See You in My Dreams, A Cup of Coffee, A Sandwich, and You, Manhattan, recorded by the Knickerbockers. This is some cool stuff. I'm sorry, I'm fascinated by this. Now, films. All Quiet on the Western Front. Interestingly, I saw All Quiet on the Western Front earlier this year, the 1929 version. Wow. One of the best movies I've ever seen. And I think the reason why is I really love old. It's not that I love old movies. I love antiques. And I love looking at, okay, what did the buttons look like? What did it look like? So like in All Quiet on the Western Front, they had the bodies there, and you saw, now everything's all, with telemetry and there's computers and all that, but, they wrote with chalk so they could erase it. So you had chalkboards by the beds. I was looking at how they did the sheets, and I'm fascinated with what the world looked like. It's a time capsule when you watch these movies. So you get to see what they did, how they, and I thought All Quiet on the Western Front was a fantastic movie, but the 1929 version. Plus, it was pre-World War II. So you had, it just, to me, I'm just fascinated by that. King of Jazz, Animal Crackers, Morocco, Hell's Angels, The Divorcee, Free and Easy. So these were films. Characters. So Betty Boop, the Betty Boop character. By the way, the woman who voiced Betty Boop was, I think, in the Clark Griswold Christmas Vacation movie. That older woman, the older grandma, she played, I believe, the voice of Betty Boop, even though the movie came out in the late 80s, early 90s. But that's interesting. But Betty Boop is now free domain. Blondie, Dagwood, certain Mickey Mouse cartoons and Mickey Mouse comic strips, Silly Symphonies, and then, of course, books. William Faulkner, As I Lay Dying. God, there's some good books here. The Murder at the Vicarage, I think. Private Lives, Ash Wednesday, Strong Poison, Last and First Men. So this is interesting. So Public Domain Day, check it out. I'm not saying just go and start reproducing and spreading everything around, but we live in a day and age now where people are getting ambushed and set up. So you'll hear of these stars who will post a picture of them and they'll get sued because the photographer said, yeah, but that was my picture. Yeah, but it's a picture of me. Doesn't matter. It's my work. You never gave me, I never gave you permission. And we have copyright rules in place to protect your work. I mean, I wrote a book. Now, I don't mind because it looks like it was downloaded by a bunch of students and it was for students. I didn't write the book to make money, but there was a site that said it was downloaded 100,000 times. Now, I didn't realize that there were that many medical students, but my guess is people just kept downloading it. And I was kind of at first honored and flattered. I was like, wow, that many people really like my book. And you could see it was my book. And then you saw people talk about it, I want to get this book. And I was like, wow, okay, I didn't realize it was a good book. I was pretty impressed with that. But then you're like, well, wait a second, it would have been nice for somebody to ask, that is my property. I hope nobody's now, taking credit for it or, and so, when you do work hard on something, you would like to have some ownership of that. But what's been happening that a lot of people have been getting in trouble for is there's actually websites teaching people how to do this to make a quick buck. They say, take a random picture of something that people will want to use in an article. So like a soda bottle or a flower or a sunset, and then copyright it secretly. Don't put the C on there. Don't put any insignia, but get it copywritten, and then put it out there so that when people search Google Images or images, they'll grab it, use it. Then Google Lens. This is what people are telling others to do to make money. Google Lens your image, and whoever is using your image, slap them with a lawsuit. Now, the lawsuit could go anywhere from a couple $100s to $30,000. I think the max is like a $30,000 fine. But usually with copyright law, people do have a lot of protections. If it's fair use, if it was a mistake, if they thought they weren't aware that it was copywritten. But there's some people, unfortunately, they'll pay the settlement. And so what lawyers will do is they'll say, you owe us this. We're going to sue you. and we're suing you for 30 grand. And so a lot of these stars are like, oh no, I'm sorry, I used your picture, I'll settle. And it never even goes to court. And most of the courts would probably say, look, this isn't, come on. They took it down as soon as they found out it was copywritten. They ceased and desisted, and they'll even say, even if you take it down, we're still suing you. So be very careful about memes and things that you are sharing. This is why something like this as public domain day is so huge. Like if a lot of people are posting things with football and all that. Well, NFL even says, you can't reproduce without permission from us. Then I know there's GIFs and everything all over the place, and there's people but there's laws, so it's not. You got to be careful out there. And so I've been taking a lot of my own pictures. This is why you'll see a lot of my own owls and spiders and sunsets and all that, and I haven't copyrighted them. I might copyright a couple because a couple I made were really, really good. And I think I do want ownership of that. I just don't want somebody saying it's theirs. I don't care if people use stuff. I just don't want somebody saying that, oh yeah, that was mine. Because I'm like, I worked really hard to get that. And I really got close to that spider. So I think you're allowed to have ownership of your own stuff. You write a book, you write a movie, but it's unfortunately, this is a huge racket. It's a huge industry where people are just paying these settlements because they're so scared and they're trapped. So be careful what you share. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out. All right, we are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I missed the 20-minute address President Donald Trump gave. I was at Opportunity Village, the magical forest, where we sponsored a tree and we celebrate with all these beautiful Christmas trees and holiday celebrations and cocoa and kids running around on trains and doing lots of fun stuff. And it helps support Opportunity Village, which helps those with intellectual and physical disabilities. And it's a fantastic, fantastic charity. So I was there, so I didn't hear the Trump address. For some reason, it was shorter than usual, 20 minutes. And he praised his administration's accomplishments over the past 11 months. And I guess Trump is finding himself in this position where polls are not happy with the economy. And he has done things that no president has ever done, has made huge moves, which are going to help Americans. But because Americans aren't feeling it yet, he has to keep reminding them this is going to happen, or this is happening. So I think he's even going to be touring, because, Democrats are going to, during the midterms, seize on well, look, you're still not able to afford a house. Well, is that Trump's fault? Was that Biden's fault? We're in a mess right now. But Trump is right. Energy or gas prices have decreased. Energy prices, including gasoline, have dropped. Trump says they're going to drop even more. National average gas price down to $2.50 per gallon. The AAA average nationally is $2.90. Interestingly, Nevada, California, many of the more expensive states, their gas prices are high, but Midwest, the South, they're in the twos. Gas prices are down. I haven't seen levels like this in a while. So household energy costs dropped by $3,000, and Trump promised that within the next 12 months, the U.S. will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, reversing what he called the Democrat inflation disaster. Now, he blames the housing costs and lack of jobs on the undocumented immigrants. He thinks many of them are stealing American jobs. He said while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed over 60% in growth in the rental market, he says this came from foreign migrants. At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs, flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid for by you, the American taxpayer. They also increase the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even not to be mentioned. I can't comment on what's going on with jobs. See, you used to get in trouble a lot if you were an employer and you didn't verify that you were hiring somebody legally who was legally allowed to work here. So I'm surprised that isn't as you would think those laws and those concerns would still be there, but what I can say is the hospitals are overwhelmed. So we have time and time again heard hospitals saying we have no beds. We have no room for, and unfortunately, we have people who have trekked here to America not having good health care and then needing our hospital beds, our dialysis, and so, like I said, I can't comment on illegal aliens and jobs such as if people are looking for teaching jobs, people are looking for they can't get medicine jobs. I can't comment on that, but I can say yes, the hospitals are overwhelmed, and if you think you have a bed with your name on it when you need it at your local hospital, you got another thing coming. These hospitals are full, and many people they are taking care of are illegal immigrants. Now, he is giving a warrior dividend. Trump announced checks that are going to go to 1.4 million military service members called the warrior dividend before Christmas. They are sending every soldier $1,776. Pretty damn cool. So I think that's good, especially for those individuals who have been overseas. And I think we don't do enough for our military. So I think that's fantastic. Now, tariffs. Trump has, I think, been very frustrated that people are not seeing what the tariffs are doing. He's saying it's bringing in billions of dollars and that the policies are bringing prices down and revitalizes the economy. How the economists are saying that's working for those who support the tariffs is if a country wants to avoid the tariff, they could avoid the tariff by building and manufacturing in America. Well, if you're going to build and manufacture in America, then you're going to create jobs, right? And if if you are a country that has been screwing America over, America now is getting less screwed because they're like, look, you're tariffing us this much, we're going to reciprocate. We're just doing reciprocal. And Trump even said we're even going to reciprocate less because if we did, charge you 80%, like what is it? Is Vietnam or Taiwan charges? A country, in Asia, I think is charging us 80% tariffs. He said if we do that, it would level the country. So, but we're going to increase our tariffs and bringing money in that could hopefully then offset not only our debt, but our taxes can really, really work. We're just not going to see it overnight. And as I've said before, I'm kind of blown away because when it came to climate change, The Democrats told us that whatever we're doing now is going to help our great-great-great-grandchildren. So to be patient, we might not see it in our generation, but our future generations will see it. So please be patient. So they asked us to be patient for that, but when it comes to the tariffs, no, we need to see the results right now. Really? So Trump says that prices are falling rapidly. You know, whether it's groceries, whether it's rent, I do see prices dropping. Not to the degree they need to. We're not at pre-COVID, but they are dropping. Now, of course, Trump blamed the previous administration. I've talked about this before. Yes, I think what happened with COVID and a lot of Biden policies did screw us over. But eventually, we got to be careful because, Obama kept blaming Bush, and that got old. And when everybody, you could do that when you first get into office. But once a year or two goes by, that's a problem. Now, Trump is going to make another address on Wednesday. And he's going to probably also bring out more of his economic agenda. But one thing he is going to remind people that big, beautiful bill that got passed, that people have not seen what's in it, is going to eventually manifest into tax breaks, money back. And so people need to be reminded of that. And so that's going to be, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But, the midterms are coming, and you see the reason, here's Trump being out front and center because I think he sees that the Republicans are in trouble. And that always happens. Whenever there's and I don't want to call it a landslide because the Senate and the House squeaked by, but it was a red wave. And anytime that happens, or there's a blue wave, people are like, I don't like this. I want more checks and balances, or where people get motivated and they come back, with the midterms. But what's going to save the Republicans are the individuals going, actually, I like where we're going. I like that DC is safer. I like that the border is secure. I like that we have these Trump savings accounts for kids. And yesterday I talked about the website. I posted it on my Twitter. So if you have a baby born between January 1, 2025 and December 31st, 2028, when Trump's in office, they get a Trump account. $1,000 put into a retirement account that can grow. You can add up to $5,000 a year, and the kid can take it out later for school, for retirement. And it's projected to make hundreds of thousands of dollars by the time they retire, at least tens of thousands of dollars by the time they're 18. So those things are pretty cool. And so it'd be interesting to see who, signs up for those. And if everybody, from what I understand, I don't think there's a limit to which child can get it. I think it is open to every single baby that is born in the United States, American legal citizen. So that's going to be interesting. So, well, we'll see. But I just hate midterms. I really do. Oh, my gosh, it's next year. Now, we're going to talk about what to expect this next year. I am going to be positive, though, because, boy, this last couple weeks have been rough. 1-877 Dr. Dolly. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.